Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good and you are keeping safe. My name is Mickey. Welcome to my channel where we draw lessons from life experience, and I also share my experience of the places that I am working, which at the moment is Belize. Thank you very much for tuning in this afternoon, this morning, this evening to this live stream. And I'm going to tell you it's an important topic. It's about mental health. You go on Facebook, you go on social media, Instagram, and all you see is good life. All you see is the good part of life that people are showing. But you never know what is going on in people's mind, what is going on in people's heart. People are hurting, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic season or moment. But one thing that has gone to me is two of my friends had committed suicide, and one of them some time ago and one of them about 4 weeks ago. But one thing that has got to me is I spoke to them. I had a relationship with them. And when I was speaking to them, I realized there was something wrong. Something wasn't right. But I couldn't come out to confront them, right? How can you look at someone and ask them if they are contemplating suicide? And sometimes we also look at people and we think, there's no way they can do that. They are going to be fine. And when I heard the news, it actually got to me. And so I decided I've got this small platform and I have a friend who went through the dark side of life, and he has managed to pick himself up with the help of God, and he is doing something good with his campaign. And the campaign is It's Okay Not to Be Okay. And I thought I'll bring him on and we will have a chat about this complicated and a bit hidden silent killer, which is mental health issues and illness. His name is Tony Wilsher. And down the line, if you want to join, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat and we can have a good chat about that. And down the line, I'm going to bring Audrey, a woman who has also been through postnatal depression, and she is going to put the woman perspective on it. There's no boundary to this problem. It affects women, it affects men, it affects black, it affects white, and it affects old, it affects young. So we have to look at this with importance. So I'm going to bring on Tony Wilsher, a friend of mine who is doing really good, the founder of the campaign It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Hello, Tony, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Mikey.
Yes, if anyone is listening to us and they can see any echo or they can hear any echo, let us know and we will sort it out. How are you doing? Can you introduce yourself, Tony?
Yes, of course, Mikey. So for anyone listening, my name's Tony Wilsher. I was the founder of the campaign It's Okay Not to Be Okay, which is just days away from getting our charity status. And I've been invited this evening by this good man to tell my story and struggles about mental health and a little bit about the campaign. And I'm very humbled and I'm very grateful, Mikey, that you've given me this opportunity. Thank you.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. At a glance, with your experience, what do you think mental health is?
So mental health, it's a minefield, Mikey. It's such a big issue. There's many aspects of it, and it wasn't until I went into actually wanting to help people with mental health, I then started to realise just what a big beast it is. And it's getting worse, Mikey, is the truth of it. But it seems to me that no one actually wants to sort of grab it and deal with it. That people are quite quick to sort of think it's going to go away, but it's not going away. In fact, it's getting a lot worse, Mikey. It is getting a lot worse. But yeah. Just a quick thing. What I wanted to say on my heart about that question is there's two types of things, and that some people for some people it becomes quite a grey area. You've got mental health, and then you've got just life storms. Like there is a difference. Like life isn't easy, and you will have good days and you will have bad days. But that doesn't mean that on your bad day that you're suffering with mental health. That just means that you're just suffering with life. But it's about sort of understanding the difference and coping strategies to deal with both life situations and obviously the illnesses that are out there, the mental health illnesses that are out there.
Oh, okay. I've done a bit of psychology, and I cannot downplay the effect of our background where we grow up.
Yeah.
How was your childhood like?
Yeah, so for me, like now, like just like yourself, now I've studied and I actually understand mental health. My mental health issues go right back to my childhood, Mikey. They do. But rather than address it at my childhood, but because I didn't know about mental health then, and a lot of people didn't, it then escalated into something else and something else and something else, and then it built up so bad that when I was 36 years of age, that is when I had a mental breakdown. But yeah, my mental health as a childhood, I had a father who was very tough with me, Mikey. Really, really tough with me. Like I love him to pieces now. He's a different person, but because of the struggles of life back then, and drink, and because of stuff that happened in my father's childhood, it caused him to be very, very tough on me. A bit too tough at times, but that did most definitely have an adverse effect on me as a child, which then grew into my teenage years, which then grew into my adult years.
Mm.
Some of that gave me the gravel in my belly to be a good soldier,
Yeah.
and to be quite tough in my ways now also. But on the grand scheme of things, it had a big effect in my
Effect.
mental health, Mike, is the truth of it, yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned soldier.
Mm.
So you joined the army down the line. How was life in the army like?
So for me, the military, it gave me hope. So based on childhood things that have happened, it then turned me into a troubled teenager. And so I was a teenager that got into gangs and violence and drink and drugs just to fit in. And it got to a point when I was 20 years of age that I needed to escape, Mikey. Like I needed to get away from what I was doing. So I thought about going to Australia. I thought about emigrating. I thought about running away. But that wouldn't have solved the situation. And someone said about joining the military, and I thought, you know what, this is a way out for me. And it was a way out for me. And what that did is the military gave me discipline. It gave me obedience. It gave me father figures. It gave me camaraderie. And it gave me a job that I could hone all the violence and toughness that was in my belly actually into a job. And it made me a very, very good soldier, Mikey. And yeah, it was a good turning point for me joining the military. It really was,
Yeah.
until the Afghanistan started and the operational tours. But that's a different story in itself.
Yeah. So how many tours did you do?
So I done fully.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we lost you a
Yeah, sorry,
second.
sorry. Have you
Yeah.
got me back now?
It's just the video. It's only audio. Hi everyone. Yeah. So as Tony was saying, his childhood was a bit rough, and it some of it helped him, but some of it was a bit difficult on him. But he managed to pick himself up and join the army. Then, and everyone, I think it's everybody has got their mental health is like a muscle. That's what I think. And there are things that you will go through, but that you will be okay with. You know, you will be able to deal with it. But there are some people, it's like the muscle, as I said. There are certain metals that I won't be able, the weight, I won't be able to carry. And there are some things that some people cannot, some people will be able to carry. So, yeah, we've got Tony back.
Yep, sorry
Thank you
about that.
very much.
No
No
problem.
worries, no worries. So as
Yeah,
you were saying, Yeah.
So about the military, Mikey. Yeah, so the military gave me, it gave me hope and it gave me direction, and then the Afghanistan started, and I done lots of operational tours. Two of them was Afghanistan, and I'd done some
Yeah.
others that just for security reasons we can't talk about. But
True. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, and then came a completely different mental health issue. So on top of um, stuff that had happened in my childhood, on top of teenage stuff, on top of gangs and violence and drink and drugs. I then had to deal with the scars and the things that I'd seen on operational tours. And but even then, Mikey, even then, I still didn't think anything was wrong with me. I still didn't think I had any issues, and even then, it was like the people that loved and cared about me, like my own wife, my mum, my children, was listen. There's something wrong with you. You need to go and get some help. But I just refused to accept that something was wrong with me. I refused to accept that I had mental health issues, and even and I'll openly talk about this, Mikey. Like I lost everything. My
Mm.
wife divorced me. She took me to court and said I couldn't see my children. My family and friends disowned me. No one wanted to know me. I just about hung onto my job in the military by the skin of my teeth because I had a good boss and he sort of covered for me and it just scraped me through day by day. But even then, Mikey. I still refused to accept that something was wrong with me. And it wasn't until March 2017
Mm.
I actually had a breakdown because I just had no fight left in me. I could not carry on anymore. I had nothing. I had nothing to live for. I had no wife, no kids. I was £15,000 in debt. I had no friends, no family. My health was terrible. I was drinking every day. My addiction was through the roof. I'd become very violent, and yeah, I just lost hope, Mikey. I just lost hope. I had
Yeah.
nothing to live for.
One thing about this stream is I want to live, finish this stream knowing
Mm,
how it feels,
mm,
stepping in your shoes.
yeah,
So at that point, what was going through? Why did you go into meltdown? Like,
yeah.
how did you see the world?
Yeah, so the world, when you're suffering like I was, becomes a very, very isolated place. I got moved to a three-bedroom house in the middle of nowhere, and no one knew I was there, and I never knew anyone there. So no wife, no children, no family, no friends, and I just rotted. But I was happy there rotting. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want any help. People used to knock on my door. Um, Sergeant Wilsher, he's the welfare officer. My wife, even though we was on bad terms, would come to the house and say, "Do you want to just take the kids for a walk?" And I'll just go, "I'm not interested." I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't answer my phone. I become very isolated, and I was in a really, really dark place, and nothing or no one could get me out of it. And I'll give you a quick testimony. Like my wife actually brought my two children to this house one day. Now, anyone that knows me personally knows that they are the absolute apple of my eye. Like I love them two little girls with all my heart. And she actually brought them there to me. And Kinley, my little one, she was only a year old. She was a baby, but I hadn't seen her for 8 months because of the courts, etc. And she actually said, "What do you want to hold your daughter?" And I said, "I'm not interested. Go away." And my little toddler, my little Farron, she was like, "Dad, Dad, Dad, Dad." And she went, "Why don't you just take her for a walk?" And I said, "I don't want to." And I just shut the door and went back into my house and continued to be in that dark, dark, isolated place, Mikey. And if we speak about hell on earth, I was in it. I was in that place, brother.
So, you are not the first person. It's something that I've studied that a lot of people try to isolate themselves.
Yeah.
Is it fear, or is it you see the world to be unfair? Did you feel inadequate? It,
Part of it was fear. Yeah. Part of it, I didn't want the world to see me. Yeah, is the truth of it. I just didn't want to see the world, and I didn't think. I didn't think the world could help me. I'd lost all hope for the world. I was very bitter. I was very angry. Um, I didn't think nothing could help me. Um, I was so in the dark that I just felt like there was no light. I just had no hope, Mikey. But it's because I didn't have anything to live for. I had nothing. I had no fight left in me. People would try to intercede into my life many times with therapy, psychiatry, um, meds, rehabilitation, mental health rehabilitation centres, and nothing could get me out of that mindset, Mikey.
Okay. One thing is there a way that they approached you? So I want us to be able to know when to approach people and how to approach people when they are going through this episode.
Yep. So two things come to mind with that question. So for me, I wasn't ready to change and to let people into my life to help until I knew that I actually had a problem, till
Okay.
I actually had that revelation that I wasn't okay. And that's where the campaign comes from, that it is okay not to be okay, because I was so proud, because that's what's inbuilt in you when you're a soldier. I was so proud to actually admit that something was wrong with me. I would rather have gone through the pain and suffering that I was putting myself through, because I just didn't want to admit to myself that I was in the wrong, that I was suffering, that I was in a bad place. So that's the first thing. But there is a way to get into people's pride, and that's persistence. Now, because of the person that I am, I was a big, strong character. And when people used to try and intercede into my life, we're like, Tone, come on, let's go for a walk. Tone, let's go to therapy. Tone, let's do this. I was just like, no, 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 I'm not interested, not interested. There's nothing wrong with me. And because people wasn't persistent, because I'm a very strong person, um, they gave up on me quite a bit too easy. So what I urge people now is, but even though I was in that place, I didn't want any help. But I urge people now, if you know someone that's suffering with mental health, and when you try to help them and they're very bitter and angry towards you and resentful, you're going to get that. But don't lose faith, don't lose hope. Continue to try and help, continue to intercede into their lives, continue to be persistent, continue to knock and say, let's go for a walk, let's go to the gym, let's go and have a chat, let's have a cup of tea, because they won't want you in their lives. But I promise you this, for anyone that's listening to me, when they eventually do let you into their life, even though they will be very resentful towards you, they will thank you in weeks, months, years to come for you being that person, for being persistent, for always trying to get into their lives. So be persistent, but it will, they will only change with your help and when they're ready to change. But you've got to carry on, you've got to be strong for them, because it's not just the individual. You have to be strong for that person. So if you're listening as a husband or a wife or a son or a mother or a father, you've really got to carry on. And it is painful at times. I put my mum through hell, Mikey, and she wept and wept, and she just didn't know how to help me. But out of everyone, she was the one person that never gave up on me. She used to pray for me. She would sit at my door, and even though I used to be very angry and violent towards her, she wouldn't care. She would still try and try and try and try to get into me. And because of my mum, and it sounds quite soppy, a 38-year-old man saying this, I'm alive because my mum never gave up. She never gave up praying. She never gave up on me. She always knew, like she always tried. So yeah, persistence and being ready for when they're ready.
Yeah, if you're watching, we're talking to Tony Wilsher, the founder of the campaign It's Okay Not to Be Okay. You can put your chat, you can put some questions in the chat, and I will ask Tony. Anna says, as a parent, I'm a bit concerned with the teenager fitting in syndrome, because that is where I think it all starts from.
Yep.
What in his view can parents do to help their kids with regards to that? So what do you think parents can do to help their teenagers, fight this fitting in syndrome?
Yeah, so really good question, Anna. So I was a troubled teenager. I really was. So again, we spoke about it earlier. So teenager, teen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
got you now.
got me.
Yeah, I've
Teenagers
got
are
you.
put on this to.
Yeah, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. Jeremiah, hello. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hello. Anna says, a mother's love like no other. Yes. One thing I can say to that question is you just need to let your kids know that they don't need other people to tell them that they look good or they are adequate. You need to make them know that they can be happy within themselves. You have to be happy within yourself before you can seek approval from people. And this is how I deal with it, right? I look at everybody, I look at people around me. This is not an insult, but I feel that everyone has got something bad about them. We are all not perfect. So if you look at the world like that, you will embrace your imperfection, because we are all trying to figure it out. We are all not perfect. So why do you dwell on somebody's opinion? So that's my opinion. And if you have anything to say to that, yeah, Tony is back. So as you were saying, Tony, so how do parents, help their kids to deal with this I need to fit in syndrome? Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. So, okay. So I will say, I'll ask one question. It might be difficult. It might be difficult for you to answer, but let's say I'm going through, because sometimes I feel like I'm having a breakdown, but I don't know how bad I'm going. What is the point? At what point should I raise my hands up to say I need help? Can you hear me, Tony? Can you hear me?
Ready when you are, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. You are on. Can you see me? Tony, can you hear me? I think we are having a bit of issue over here.
Can you hear
I'll
me?
bring Tony back. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Mikey?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh, I
me?
can't hear you.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you. I
can't
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I can't hear you.
I'll bring Audrey on to test this. Audrey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear both of you.
Oh, okay. I think I will bring you on, and whilst Tony is trying to sort out the technology. So you've been listening to us. You've been listening to us. What do you make of the whole conversation?
Mickey?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
So you've all right. So I was saying that you've been listening to the whole conversation. What do you make of mental health? What do you make of it?
I think mental health is not as, we don't pay attention to it as much as we should, because first of all, as children, like, who's paying attention to mental health, right? You're just being a child, you're just living. And then when you transition into adulthood, you're just dealing with life. So If you have children, you're just dealing with getting your kids up and doing their homework, and so we don't really pay attention to much mental health. I do want to talk about when we realize that there is a problem. Like, how do you know? How do you know that that you're not in the right mental state? Me,
Mm.
for example, I was going through postpartum depression, and I knew something wasn't right. I knew I wasn't the same Audrey as I was, but it didn't come out my mouth that I had postpartum depression until I got pregnant with my second child. See, I had it with child number one. When I got pregnant with my second child, something happened between my husband and I that caused us to seek counseling with our pastor. And it wasn't until we were speaking with someone else that I realized that whatever happened between my husband and I triggered the postpartum depression that I went through with baby number one, but I just put it in the back of my head. And I realized that I never went through the healing process.
Yeah.
Why? Because as a mom, you're supposed to be a mom, right? Like, why? What's wrong with having a kid, right? And then when you're a mom and a businesswoman, it's like you can't use your child as an excuse for your business. You have to be that superwoman. So I felt like I didn't have to take care of my mind because so many other things required my attention.
Yeah.
And if I would have chosen focusing on my mind, I probably wouldn't have focused on my child or my business, you
Yeah.
know? But I didn't know I was going through that
Yeah.
until something triggered it 1 year later. And that's when I realized that how important it is to seek counsel, whether it's with a pastor or a therapist.
Mm.
Like, because you don't know you're going through it, somebody else has to come in, boop, like trigger something in your mind to at least get you to say, I have a problem.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Because once you reach that stage where you say I have a problem, that's where you begin the healing process.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. I brought Audrey in when Tony was having a
Yeah.
bit of issue.
Yeah.
Hi, Tony.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So Audrey lives in Honduras, and she's also got a channel called Denkem Roatan, where I'll let Audrey talk for herself. What do you do on your channel, Audrey?
I talk about different topics about living abroad. I inspire and I educate people about living abroad and different real life things that you have to deal with. My perspective is from someone who was born and raised in New York, who is now living on the island of Roatan, Honduras.
Okay. So before we had the issue, Tony, as I asked,
Yeah.
so how did you get the breakthrough?
So yeah, so apologies for our English Wi-Fi
worries.
connection. Apologies
No
for that.
worries.
The fact is better than in the Honduras. It's not as good as Honduras worries me, but hey ho. Yeah. So in answer to your question, Anna, about the teenage thing, is that the question?
Yes.
So I was a troubled teenager, and Audrey's just touched on it already. There's a difference between life stuff and mental health as an illness. Now, teenagers are put in our life to cause us dramas, but that's part of life. That's part of evolution. Like teenagers have to go through a transitional phase, and they have to learn for themselves about where to fit in, what's wrong, what's right. They will push boundaries. They will experiment. And my advice to you would be, and this is how I'm going to parent my children because I was parented very wrong. Just love on them. Just love on them. Just be there for them to support them when they fall, and they will fall, and they will fall because they will make mistakes. You are never going to get a perfect teenager. And something that I want to reassure you with, that you do not blame yourself for your teenagers' mistakes and the transition that they're going through. You could be the best parent on the planet, the most loving parent on your planet, but your teenager has to go through his own transition. He has to decide what's wrong, what's right in life, what path he wants to take. Sometimes he might find himself walking down a path that really upsets you, but You just need to love on them and be there for him when he has the revelation. Well, do you know what? I don't like this path. This is wrong. Because the more that you try and pull him off that path, the more that you're disciplined, this and that, the more he will continue to walk on that path. I promise you that. So just love on him, and just be there for him would be my best advice. But he's not going through mental health issues at the minute. He's just going through life. He's just like we all have. Some go through it a lot easier than others. Some choose to take the hard road, and I was one of those. But that's because of how my parents were. But I've learned that now in myself, so I won't make the mistakes that was made for me. So I hope that answers your question, Anna.
Yeah, I'm sure it makes sense. But before I go to how you were able to pull yourself out,
Yeah.
one thing, addiction, alcohol. Why do people take alcohol in such times?
Yep, good question, Mikey. So for me, rather than address the issues from my childhood, teenage stuff, Afghanistan, losing my wife and children, rather than face and deal with that and say to someone, I'm not okay, help me, let's talk about it, I self-medicated. I wanted to forget about life for a little while, and that was through drink, addiction, through violence, anything that could stop me thinking about what was going on up here. But eventually what happens is it has an adverse effect on you. It actually makes the issues in there 100 times worse, and you get to a point where the drink and addiction and anything that you're trying to do to mask that actually makes it worse, and then it's there on top of this. Now someone that I'm dealing with at a minute is so he's a professional boxer, and the way he deals with it is through boxing. So he boxes as many hours and trains as many hours of the day. So fortunately for him, it's not addiction and drink, but he uses physical activity to deal with his mental health issues, which is a much better way to deal with it, I must say. But what happens is when he stops the boxing, the mental health issues are still there, and that's when the demons come up, and that's when the scars come up. So I said to him the other day, let's focus on dealing with the issue, the root, because you're not going to be able to box your whole life, and you will get to a point where they're still there. So now we've stopped the boxing, so that was his medication, that was him stopping that. So now we're dealing with the actual root of it. So yeah, definitely don't self-medicate, and use correct coping strategies. Use all the support networks that are out there to help you with what you're going through.
Okay, Soga, thank you very much for joining in. If you want to come on, let me know. I'll give you the link. So how did you make it? How did you deal with yours, Tony?
Yep, so another good question, Mikey. So throughout my whole life, so even in my teenage years, I tried everything. I tried therapy, so I sat down and had a therapist. But because the therapist hadn't gone through what I'd gone through, it actually made things worse. But because he had a qualification to say I'm a therapist, he was allowed to go into my life, but it made things worse. I tried medication, so all the antidepressants, all the sleepers, all the this and that made me worse. I had a psychiatrist. All the psychiatrist did for me was label me. He said, this is wrong with you, that's wrong with you, that's wrong with you, that's wrong with you, that's wrong with you. But you know what? It wasn't anything wrong with me. I just needed, I needed to heal, and I needed to other ways to get me through it. I went to rehabilitation, and all that did was take me out of society for a little while. And then as soon as the rehabilitation had stopped, I went straight back into it. I was in a recovery unit for a little while, and that was good. It was good. But I wasn't ready to change still. So everything that they was trying to teach me there was pointless, because I still had this shield up. My heart was still guarded. My mind still hadn't had the revelation that something was wrong with me. What else did I try? I tried hypnotherapy. I tried that. I tried to get hypnotized, which we all know just cost me a lot of money and didn't do anything at all. And then I found something that changed me. I found something that gave me light in the darkness. I found something that absolutely saved my life, and it was the only thing that could change me. And I found Jesus, and I become a Christian man. Now, I never believed in God, Mikey. I never believed in anything because, if anything, I was very resentful and blameful for everything that had happened in my life. But I was blaming the wrong person. It wasn't his fault for everything that was going on in my life. And there's quite a bit of feedback there, Mikey. I don't know where that's coming from.
Now, I think I'll try something.
Okay.
Let me take you off, Audrey. Let me see if just testing something.
Okay. Is that better? Hello, that's better, brother.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Audrey. Sorry, we're talking a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was saying, I found Christianity. Now, I didn't believe in God. I'd never believed in God. I've never been to church, never read a Bible. And if someone had said to me years ago about it, I would have laughed at them. I would have said, no, I don't believe, I'm not interested. But I got to a point where I tried everything, Mikey, and I was on my knees, and I was hours away from dying. And I screamed at the top of my voice, Mikey, Lord, if you're real, come and save me, because I'm done and I'm broken. And I wept and I wept and I wept and I cried, and I had nothing in me. And I screamed, I said, Lord God, please, if you are real, come and save me. And a man came into my life the next day, and he said, and it was my uncle, believe it or not, and he's a man of faith and he's a Christian, and he said, Tony, I want you to come to church with me tomorrow. Your mum's rang me. I know you're in a really bad way. Would you come to church with me? And I said, I'm not religious and I don't believe. And he said, I'm not religious. He said, but I'm a Christian man and I believe in God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and the Word of God, the Bible. I don't believe in religion. And I said, right, okay, well, I didn't understand. And I went to church. I went to an on-fire Pentecostal Christian church. And from that day onwards, my life supernaturally changed, Mikey. And I've walked on a beautiful journey now. But it wasn't until I'd found Christianity, I'd found the church, and I'd found Jesus, that it gave me light, and it gave me hope, and it gave me strength, and it gave me a new Christian family that was there to support me and love me. And then I found out that God is real, and what Jesus did for people on the cross 2020 years ago, taking away the sins of the world, he did exactly that for me, because I got on my knees and I prayed the salvation prayer, and my life supernaturally changed. And because of that, I then reached out to other support networks. I reached out to therapists. So I got a therapist that had gone through what I'd been through. And I just want to touch on therapy. Therapy doesn't have to be someone you're paying thousands of pounds a minute for. Therapy can be anyone. Me and you, Mikey, can have therapy. It's just sitting down and talking and letting it out. And like Audrey touched on, only when you let things out can the healing process start. Because while things are inside, you can't be healed. You're healed from the inside, James. You're healed from your heart. Only when your heart is healed can then your mind be healed. But yeah, I started to talk to people. I started to reach out, and I started to get stuff off my chest. And yeah, there were some real big weights off my shoulders. And even now, I read my Bible every day. Before my head hits the pillow, I just say a nice simple prayer in thanks. And I go to church still every Sunday. And I love walking on the Christian journey that I'm walking on. And it's made me the man that I am today, Mikey. It really has. And I would never ever change that. I will never say any different, and I would never turn my back on something that saved me. That's the truth of it.
I brought Audrey on to touch about faith. My take is finding something to believe in.
Yep.
Right, finding something to believe in, and it happens that mine is Christianity. I don't know what other people watching have, but just having the faith. And even people who don't believe in God, if you read successful people like Alan Sugar, Robert Kiyosaki, they all say that you need, most of them signed blank checks, right? They signed blank checks, and they think it made them millionaires. So
Yep.
what do you think about that faith and hope, Audrey?
Without it, you won't be able to heal yourself.
Amen.
You
Amen.
know, I'm a Christian woman too, and even though I'm Christian and I was going to church, like my therapy session was with my pastor, but although I am a Christian, I still fell into depression. I still
Mm.
fell into depression, but
Yeah.
what helped me to get out of it after accepting that I had a problem
Mm.
was being inspired by other people who've been through either what I've been through or worse
Yep.
things. So I began to read the Tony Robbins, the Eric Thomas, read what other people went through. And you just have to believe that that person bleeds just like me. They're human just like me. And if they got through it, then I'm gonna get through it too. And it's something that every day you have to work on. Whether it's spiritual, mental,
Yep.
or emotional, you have to continue working. And I believe that's the hard part for people when
Yep.
they realize they have a problem. The beginning process is very painful
Yep.
because it really hurts. It's like I can't believe I let myself go so much. It
Yep.
hurts
Yep.
to accept the truth. But once you accept it, then you're gonna get through it. And that's why I love Tony's campaign. It's okay not to be okay. Because
Okay.
that's exactly, that's basically just in short the breakthrough you need to begin the healing process. Accept that. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Soga says, yes, it's always come to a point where you have to face the issue head on. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. If you are getting value from this video, smash the like button and share it to anybody. I think everyone needs to see streams like this because this issue is very complicated, and only if we speak about it that we can deal with it. Anna said, God is real. Jesus is the way. The blood never loses its power. Thank you
Amen.
very much, Anna.
Mikey,
Talking about healing.
Mikey,
Yeah.
just wanted to say something, and Audrey, it's just based on what you just said, and you're absolutely right. So, faith and hope can be found in all sorts of places. The fact that, and I urge people just find something that you can just grab on and have hope. Some people find hope and faith in their children. Some people find hope and faith in their football teams. It can be, but just hold on to that hope. Hold on to that faith.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I wish someone had told me about Christianity 23 years ago, when in my teenage years, because I could have saved myself a whole lot of pain and suffering. Because there is a light and there is a way, and Jesus will always give you that. Now, if you are in a place where that you don't believe in God and you don't believe in Jesus and you haven't got hope and you haven't got faith, find it, because
Yes.
he will be a light in the darkness, just like he was for me. And he will be a light in the darkness for anyone. And if you don't understand about it, because I didn't, I still don't. I'm a born again Christian. I'm 6 months in. I'm still learning. Christianity is like your first day at school. When you first go to school, you don't want to go. You've got no hope and faith in school because you get told that your head's going to get flushed down the toilet and everyone's going to bully you and be horrible to you. But guess what? School's good. And when you go, you actually enjoy it, and then you look forward to it, and that's just what Christianity is about, also. So if you find yourself in a place of darkness, just try that, because that's all it is. It's just another light. It's just another door. It's another support network for mental health, and just give it a try, like I did, because it might just save your life, also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might save your life. Talking about having faith, and you mentioned football teams. I decided to support Manchester United, and it's not going good.
Oh no! So that's a whole new mental health issue in itself, Mikey.
All right. So let's talk about "It's Okay Not to Be Okay" campaign.
Yeah. Yes.
How did it come about?
So basically, how it came about. So the foundations and the words speak for themselves, Mikey. It's okay not to be okay. Now, I got to a point where I'm now so strong in myself, and I've got through all my mental health issues. I now think, how can I save the world? How can I get into people's lives before they was where I was at, before they are hours away from not being here? and I thought, how can I do this? How can I do this? Now, the first part, and we touched on it earlier in this interview, is admitting that you've got a problem and just saying to people, I'm not okay. I'm really not okay. Help me. And Audrey touched on it as well. Only then can you start to let people in. Can you start the healing process? Because until that day, nothing will change. So how it was formed, Mikey, was I thought, right, how can I get people to say they're not okay? So I done a video on Facebook because no one had seen me for 2 years. I'd been off grid, and I came on and I went on Facebook and I said, hi, my name's Tony Wilsher. For those of you that know me, I've not been in a good place, X, Y, and Z, but I'm okay now. And I wanted to tell the world and anyone listening to this video that it's okay not to be okay. And I posted it. So one was to let people know that I was all right now. So for anyone that had been worried about me. And two, I wanted anyone that was in a bad place to sort of reach out. And three, I wanted people that was in a good place to actually understand about someone that was suffering. And I think within 24 hours, this was within an hour, there was 10 videos that was like, some was from friends, some was from people I didn't know, and was like, hi Tony, we've just seen your video on Facebook, and I've not been in a good place either, mate. I've been suffering with X, Y, and Z. And they posted it, and within minutes, their family was like, oh, I wish you would have said, let's go for a coffee, let's meet for lunch, and it helped that person. And this went on and on and on, and I think within about 24 hours, there was 100 videos, Mikey. Some people was going on going, well done, Tony, and for being honest. Other people came on in tears and said, I'm not okay. And I thought, I've got something here. I really have. And so it progressed and it progressed. And then I got the T-shirts made, and the T-shirts was like the Ice Bucket Challenge. The T-shirts was like, people put a T-shirt on and said, I just want to tell the world, it's okay not to be okay. I nominate Mikey and Audrey, and then Mikey and Audrey bought a T-shirt and told the world. And the ripple effect, we've done about 1,500 T-shirts and videos now, Mikey. It's gone worldwide. We've had people from Bangladesh, Canada, America, Australia. It's literally gone viral. And then all the money's gone into a charity pot, and then we're days away from getting our charity status. And then basically celebrities have started to get involved. They've started to message me and say, Tony, what you're doing is brilliant, can we get involved? And the man you're seeing on the screen, Darren Day, he's actually suffered from mental health, and we've become very, very, very good friends, and he's very passionate to help people because he's a lovely man with a massive, massive heart to save people. And he's actually my good friend. He's my Christian brother now, and he's It's Okay Not to Be Okay's patron. So we actually did a celebrity skydive, and he helped fund the It's Okay Not to Be Okay boot camps that we've started. And yeah, he's just gone from strength to strength. And now we've actually got a call centre. We've actually got a follow-up team where people can call in, or we will have when we get our status, but it's all set up, the foundations, where you can call in and people will get one-to-one help. We can send people to people's houses to have a cup of coffee and just to talk. And then once we've had a cup of coffee and people have had revelations that something are wrong, we can then actually get people the help that they need, whether that's Christian help, therapy help, boot camp help. We've got lots of ways to help people. And then the big vision for us, Mikey, is we're going to actually have mental health retreats all over the country where you can come for a period of time and just be taken out of your environment and start that healing process until you're strong enough to then be put back into the world, ready to fight the issues that was going on. So that's It's Okay Not to Be Okay.
That's really good. If someone wanted to, reach out, if someone wanted to support, how do they do that? Do you have any website that we can post here? And
yeah, so our website it's all completely made. We was due to get our charity status on Friday, but we just had to dot the I's and cross the T's. So as soon as we get that charity status, the website will go live. And I've got a few little secrets in my pocket from some real big big hitters in the world, and some big things are going to happen, Mikey. As soon as we got that status, it's going to open the floodgates for financially, so that we can really start making an impact. And yeah, so watch this space, people. So when the website goes live, we will have a referral form, and it will just come on. You can tell us a little bit about what you're going through, and then we will triage you, and you will get appointed someone that will make a phone call or a message or a WhatsApp or a Zoom, and they will chat to you personally, and then we will get you the help that you need. And then if we feel like coming to one of our mental health retreats will be of benefit to you, you will be invited to one of those retreats. But redemption is the biggest thing for It's Okay. We will not stop until you are in a place strong enough to go. We're not just going to give you a phone call and then that's you done. We will continue to follow you up. We will continue to come to your house. You will continue to come to a mental health retreat until you are strong enough, like I am, like Audrey is now, to go back in. We will continue to follow and follow and follow, and that will be It's Okay's philosophy. That's how things are going to work.
Before I bring Audrey in, I want to say something. I think you've hit it when you had Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
And that guy, is that Rory the Breaker, that man
Rory
from
Breaker, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but their videos touch me, and well done with what you're doing. Audrey, do you have any question or anything to add?
I just want to piggyback off of something that Tony said earlier when someone asked him, well, how do you help someone who's going through something? And a couple of years ago, I had a boyfriend who committed suicide. And right before he did it, I knew something was wrong. But I was young. I was, inexperienced with life. I didn't know, how do you tell someone you have a problem? I didn't want to insult him or hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
When he passed away, I made a promise to myself to never stay quiet about something that I think is going on with someone who I care about. And when it comes to, especially with teenagers, like you said, you can never get tired of being persistent and speaking with someone. Like my mom, it's 5 of us. So she went through stress with 5 teenagers. And although we didn't listen at the time, when I was 20, 21, 22, everything my mom told me, like it all of a sudden clicked in my head. But had she not said anything back then, I probably would have continued making the same mistakes. Although you as the person who's trying to help, you might get frustrated because you don't see anything changing now, I say don't lose hope and be persistent, because you never know when what you're saying is going to click in that person's mind.
Yeah, well, good point, Audrey. And also, I'm just going to jump on something also, and very much so in teenage. So in the military, and not just the military, with friends, family, you always confide in people. Now, there's a difference between someone coming to you and saying, oh, I've just split up with my girlfriend, and just wanting to get things off your chest. And so if you're listening to this now, and someone comes to you and starts talking to you, and you think, wow, this is quite serious, but that person says, whatever you do, don't tell my mum. Whatever you do, don't tell anyone. Do not think for 1 minute that you are breaking their trust by going to tell an adult or going to tell an organisation, like a professional organisation. Now, that person at the time might hate you. He might dislike you. He might say, I'm never talking to you again. I told you not to tell anyone. Do you know what? Just by being courageous, just by going against what you think is right, just might save that person's life. Now, that person might not be grateful for you breaking their trust, but in 6 months' time, they might turn around to you and go, hey, I'm glad you told my mum about that. I'm glad you rang that support agency and they got involved, because that would have saved their lives. So always remember that, Audrey. You made that a good, very, very good point there. Persistence and be courage. If you think alarm bells are ringing and that something is really wrong with someone that's talking to you, tell someone that can really help.
Yeah, as Tony and Audrey are thinking about their final words, if you have any questions that you want to ask them, you can put it in the chat and I will put it up for them to answer it for you. So I'll come to Audrey first. Do you have any final words?
Yes, I just pray that everyone going through something makes it to the point where they realize they do have a problem, because that's where healing starts. And I promise you, it's not going to be easy. It's going to physically hurt. It's going to emotionally hurt you. But after you pass through that period of time, you're going to have this breakthrough. You're going to breathe again. But you just have to suffer a little bit, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Tony, any
Um,
final?
Final words. Yeah, I will just quickly. If you are in a bad place, just pray. Just ask and say, Lord, I'm in a bad place. Send someone into my life. Send an angel into my life to come down from heaven and save me. And he will send someone to you to save you, because he's up there and he loves you to pieces. Reach out. Tell someone it's okay not to be okay.
Yep. It's okay not to be okay. What I will say is, it seems the problem seems big now, but they always get sorted. I've been
Amen.
through some problems, and at some point I realized, oh, I can't believe I was stressing about this. I want to tell you, whatever you're going through, there is a solution somewhere. Reach out,
Yep.
speak to someone, and it will get sorted. Thank you very much, Tony, for doing this. Audrey, when it comes on YouTube, I will change the description. So Tony, if you have any numbers or anything, how people can help or how
Yeah,
people can
bullshit.
reach out, I will get it offline and then I will add it to the description. Anyone
Lovely.
who joined, thank you very much for joining us. And I think we've been of value. And if you think it's a good value, please like button, share it. Thank you very much. Thank you for
Brilliant. Thank you,
joining us.
Mikey.
All
Take
right,
care,
thank
people.
you.
Nice
See
All
you
meeting
right,
soon,
you too.
Audrey. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.